Hello, welcome to Debs and Creds. In this video, we're going to take a look at which QBO plan or QuickBooks Online plan might be the best fit for your nonprofit. So with that, let's dive directly into it. We're going to look at the QuickBook plan options, and then we'll take a look at the nonprofit reporting requirements, and then we'll narrow it down to identify the QBO plans that fit your nonprofit. Make your way to quickbooks.intuit.com. And here you'll see up there on the top bar, the link. Once you select that, the screen will open up. And looking at the screen, you select a plan, then you add any optional features you want, and you go to checkout. We'll begin by looking at the Simple Start plan. Here we have support for one user, which includes access for your accountant, so that's a plus. It includes some AI features that are relatively new at the time of this video recording. And it also includes 5 free ACH bank transfers a month for bills. Moving on to the Plus plan, we can see it's $57.50 a month for the first 3 months, and then it goes to $115. It allows 5 users, unlike the other one, which is 1 user, and this also allows access for your accountant. And then let's look at the Advanced. That's $137.50 to begin, and then it moves to $275. If we scroll down to compare all the features, we'll see that the Simple Start at $19, $57, and $137 are great attractors, but keep in mind your cost after the first 3 months. Now, moving down further, you see Intuit Assist. These are new features that include some level of AI capability. But we're not going to look at that. Our focus is on what are the core requirements for us to be able to run a nonprofit set of books on QuickBooks. Scrolling down further, we can see that's automated bank feeds. That's standard across the board. It's good to have. And let's work our way down a little further and look at expenses and pay bills. We can see in this block, functionality is available across all 3 programs. So there's nothing to compare on this particular batch right here. And then there's receipt capture, which is a nice feature, but again, not core to what we're trying to do here. Other functions you might look at are mileage tracking, contractors, etc. And looking at the sales and getting paid section, you can see the first 3 go across all platforms. The connect sales channels is interesting. There's one on Simple Start and all are available on the others. And then there's things like sales tax, etc. We'll skip the lending section because that's not core to our selection of a product. Scrolling further down, we come down to see customer management, and that's important, and it's across all 3. Further down, we have time entry, available at Plus and Advanced. Now, this project profitability is an important function, as you'll see when we look at what features we need. We're not so focused on the project management agent. Further down, we see inventory, and then we have business intelligence. Again, not core to what we're looking at, but you need to be aware of what functionality is available. And then business intelligence, some of the new AI functions that are out there. And Plus has a number of strong features here. In terms of users, the Simple Start supports 1 user, the Plus supports 5 users, and the Advanced 25. You got to decide how many people need access to decide what plan's right for you. The mobile app is a great feature. It has great functionality, but again, not core to what we're trying to do here. Reports, that's basic, comprehensive, and powerful. And user management permissions. This is how you can control how people access it. There's none at the Simple Start level, basic at the Plus and custom at the Advanced. Now, class and location is critical. The Simple Start doesn't have it. Now, the Plus has up to 40 class and location, and Advanced has unlimited. So let's keep that in mind as we look at what this does. We'll come back to this later when we make a decision on what plan fits your needs. And that pretty much brings us to the end of the comparison on the QuickBooks plan. So let's go and see what the requirements are. When we receive an invoice or a bill, that's an expense that we need to record, we know which vendor sent us that invoice. We also know what that expense is for. So for example, it might be, let's say, food, might be from a grocery store. So we know it's going to go to food. And then we just need to know where it goes within the nonprofit world. We call something a tax type. The IRS has a requirement for nonprofits to categorize expenses into management and administration, often referred to as admin, fundraising, often called funding, and programs. So every expense that you incur needs to be assigned to one of these 3 buckets. Next, we have account tag. This is an internal requirement where we want to track whether that expense is being charged against a grant that has restrictions or no restrictions. Next, we have to know which program we're charging. Are we charging the after school kids meals, or is it for feeding the unhoused? Or what kind of programs you're running here? And finally, that expense needs to be tagged to a donor. So you can see right here, expense needs 6 dimensions of data for us to be able to track and report in the nonprofit world. So within the QBO world, there are dimensions we can use. There is the vendor, the account, the class, the location, the project, and the donor. So let's take a closer look at each of these 6 attributes we're looking for and ask, what does the Simple Start plan have included? And we see immediately that vendor is supported, account is supported, class, location, and project are not supported in the Simple Start plan, and donor is supported. Now, keep in mind that there's another video on how you set up QuickBooks for a nonprofit. The default setting for donor is customer. There's a setup process where you need to go in there and change that to the donor setting, but it's that same field with a different name. So we know the Simple Start has 3 pieces missing. Let's look at the Plus program. The Plus program has a nice twist to it. It takes the class and location and it says you can have a total of 40 classes and locations within the Plus plan. It also supports project, so it has pretty much everything we need to be able to do nonprofit reporting. Now, the Advanced has pretty much all the functions we need, and there's no limits on the class and location when it's in the Advanced plan. So looking at this, we can see that the Simple Start plan is not going to be a fit for most nonprofits. Now, that might be a really small nonprofit where you can work some of these things off book with spreadsheets and other tags, etc. But for most nonprofits, you need to begin with the Plus or the Advanced plan. There's a link below to a book on how to set up QuickBooks with Plus so that you can maximize your effectiveness with the 40 limitation. The 40 limitation should not restrict most nonprofits that are startups. Now, once you grow much larger and you follow the protocol of the architecture outlined, and you decide you want to go to the next level, you can consider moving up to advanced or perhaps even looking for a plan that's customized for the nonprofit industry. So I hope you found it helpful to determine which plan is right for you. In general, we'd recommend most small and startup nonprofits to go ahead with the Plus plan. Follow the architecture guide in upcoming videos and also reference in that book we mentioned. And then once you set that up, you've got the framework to do the tracking. But there's one more step beyond that. Once you set it up, you've got to follow policies and procedures to do it right. So when you use those locations and classes and projects correctly, you're able to get the reports out that you need without any third-party software, spreadsheets, or workarounds. And that is what we're really looking for. Workarounds lead to errors, and errors can create confusion and unnecessary extra work, taking your attention away from the mission. So, in conclusion, we'd say that for most nonprofits that are not too large with hundreds of grants, etc., the Plus plan should work well. To make it work, you need to follow the architectural guideline that's described in upcoming videos and also in the book we referenced below. Thank you so much for watching.